Man, it does feel like we're in like a turmoil filled time in fighting games right now, sort of. There's Tokon coming out. People are a little mad about the various countries it's supposed to be available in. The news about Avatar recently, people are freaking out about Mike Z working on it. But I will say that universally, this game has some of the most positive word of mouth of a fighting game beta I can ever think of. Maybe the most positive. I can't really think of a fighting game beta where people played it and they were this happy after. And that's primarily through the game itself, the gameplay. The TLDR is like, there's lots of fun stuff for your hand to do. There's lots of fun stuff for your brain to do. I think people talked about the game like it was going to be really hard to play. On average, there's lots of really easy combos to do and really easy things to do for basically every character in the game. You know, there's not a lot of like beginner resources out because it was a closed beta before, and now it was like a beta for the pre-order people only. And also, if you don't understand the combo system at all, then like it's very confusing at first. And knowing that you can generally use a lot of those moves only one time, and also understanding elemental surge take a little bit of time to like sort of get a feel for. So the discourse this time, I think people were extra mean to them, to be honest, because so many people are having fun playing this game that the second anybody else shows up and has anything to the detriment of the game, people were like, dude, fuck you. So two things. I'm not gonna hold you. This game is making me mad because the combos are too hard compared to fighting games I actually play. Tekken and Street Fighter is not as hard when it comes to combos. It's fucked up. Not that I can't learn it, but I like thinking about situations and my opponent rather than worrying about my combo dropping. That I think is ass, but it's doable. In general, I think for modern fighting games, the combo difficulty is really low. Tekken has like basically, I think some of the easiest combos in any fighting game. Most of the combos are like very mashable. There are hard combos that exist in the game. Generally, they're like, I would say pretty easy. A lot of the execution is in other parts of the game. That's where a lot of the difficulty Street Fighter combos come to. It's not really like execution. It's more about processing power. Can you solve for what is the best combo in this situation with your resources and your opponent's life bar like that fast? This is a common thing. I think it's fun to have high execution. The nice thing about this game is I found like, okay, this is like the I'm feeling myself and my hands are like kind of going crazy right now combos. And then I found like combos that I can like, okay, I could hit this and it's consistent. Because the game has like a pretty open combo system in terms of like what you can do, I constantly found myself finding difficult combos. And then because the combo was difficult, I was like, maybe there's a way to solve this for something better. This ender's easier, and then I can get this resource, and then I get this knockdown. And it's like a nice puzzle of like, because the execution is hard, I was like scheming and coming up with stuff. If the execution was easy, I don't think I would have been as creative trying things. When you could just do your B&B, you don't have to worry about it. You're less concerned about your combos and you just start focusing on other things. And I also went and I looked through my move list more because I was like, okay, this part here, this link is like so fucked. Surely I have another move that can like solve for this. This is like what makes combo games that have fun execution interesting to people. They're like puzzles that you can put together. I talked about this with 2XKO. For example, Lily hates the like charge 2H combos for Teemo. So she actually found like her own Teemo combo that's like a combination of like 3 other combos to find a combo that she can hit that works for her, that is consistent. That is the fun part about games that have hard execution. Even though it has one button inputs, there are a lot of hard combos in that game. The fun in fighting games is not just me and you duking it out and the strategical breakdown of you and I. It's also the mechanical struggle of your hands and brains to not only navigate the game itself, but also like when you get the hit, do the combo, get the Oki, get the knockdown, do the setup, like do all the stuff with your hands. And same thing with the neutral of the game. Like if somebody jumps, it's on your hands to like react fast enough for the anti-air or an air throw or whatever. When somebody whiffs a move, the mechanics of the game are for you to dash and like whiff punish. And many modern fighting games have like removed a lot of the execution on combos in particular and made like the difficulty of combos about strategy and like resource management. I think it's fun to have both personally. I'm sure people are being mean to this person. I didn't read this and think like, I totally understand this person's point, but also that's what I think is fucking rad about the game. It takes your hands and it takes practice, and that is fun. I don't really want to play like a game where like after 100 hours of investment, I am a master and there's no room for me to ever get better. And there's lots of other fighting games that have easy combos. There's not that many fighting games that are making really hard combos. The second bit of discourse discourse for the weekend. I think this is also very common. I hate to be Mr. Scrubcrow, but I think a relevant factor in why people bounce off fighting games is because you boot up an unranked online match in a game, beta or day one, and people are already doing this to you. Remember, we watched this on Clip on Friday, and we were all like, oh, this shit is so sick. You know, we were like, oh, like this is so hype. Look at this cross up, side swap. Oh, like, no. We were like all getting hype. A couple of things. One, this like test here is you playing like casual unranked matches where they're just instantly matching you with another person as fast as possible. And this person booted up, and the first person they fought was a tester, and it's their job to be good at the video game. If you are new, when you boot up the game and like skill-based matchmaking is on, you're playing ranked mode, you will not fight someone who will do this. You will fight someone who will do light, medium, heavy, and drop the combo. I watched all the slammers just play 2XKO brand new, right? And I watched them load up and like fight someone else. Like it was Juggernaut v Juggernaut, and they were both like brand new. They didn't know how to play the game. You may run into one person on the first day or something who's like an absolute freak of nature. That will instantly go away. And it's the same thing with any new game when it comes out and they're getting the matchmaking figured out. There will be some person who's in the wrong rank, and then they'll go up and you'll never see them again. And in this game, you could lose to someone like this in 2 minutes. And then 5 seconds later, load into a new ranked match and you'll never see them again. And for a lot of people, fighting someone like this would be very exciting because you would see some sick shit and you'd be like, oh my God, I gotta learn how to do some sick shit like that. What the hell was that? I've ran into people who like were instantly rematching like 10, 15 times in a row, and they were like losing a lot. And then I could see them figuring it out. You know what I mean? Like game 2, game 3, game 4, like they were coming up with new ideas and strategies. And I could tell that they were like poking their head around trying to figure out new stuff. For some people, you get blasted and you're like, I didn't like that, I'm leaving. Long term, you're not gonna be running into these people. It's a beta with no ranked, you just play. So it's like all for fun. There's literally nothing on the line. But this is a very common thing I saw. There was also quite a lot of talk this weekend. Basically, fighting games are impossible to learn again. But I want to take this to a new angle. By the way, the person who posted this is a Black Panther player in Marvel Rivals. I'm on to you, bro. He has to sit in the range and throw the spear and do the dash. And it takes a lot of work to like learn these characters, you know? You can't just play BP and then never do any practice. In every other genre, this is a very common take after this avatar this weekend, you can learn that game by playing the actual game with friends even, not sitting alone in the lab for dozens of hours to commit combos to muscle memory so that you even have the slightest chance of not instantly losing. So I've taught a lot of new players fighting games. I run the Slam, a pro-am event where creators who have varying levels of fighting game experience come and play. The vast majority of them are brand new. Basically all of them. I ask if they do the tutorial, they say no. I ask if they'd like to learn a little something in training mode or anything, they say no. They just instantly boot up ranked and then they just start fighting the other person and I just give them advice. And then they improve and then they learn some stuff and then they play. These games have matchmaking where you get ranked up against people of the same skill as you. You don't need a lot of training mode time to beat other new players because other new players don't have a lot of training mode time. In fact, one of the things about fighting games that makes them so fun is that to get good at fighting games, there are so many different paths that you can choose to take. You can win in fighting games by not really having any combos, but like having good neutral or converting off your pokes, or knowing how to anti-air, or knowing how to defend very well, or knowing how to run your offense very well. Learning like a simple mix-up will get you really far. There's so many different branching paths for you to like find improvement in. You know, you can run into people who are really far along one path, but brand new in every other path. You can run into people who have insane combos, but like literally don't know how to block. They don't know how to anti-air. They don't know how to like position themselves on the screen at all. Like that's the thing about fighting games. And the counter example to this is I play every other genre. So I can tell you that if you want to get good at other genres, you will invest in outside resources. Almost every single person who gets good at any other game will tell you that very quickly into learning some game, they like watch some video or some guide that's like, here's things you should know and like things that will help you improve. And not only that, but if you legit wanted to grind and you never ever wanted to look at training mode, here's Damascus posting the wheels. Now the wheels are pretty famous. The amount of time committed per mode in Street Fighter 6. So the players you're seeing here are all decently high ranked. They're all like master rank, right? Spoiler alert, the wheels, the red thing is ranked. He has 1,442 hours of ranked matches and 1 minute in practice. Oh, 1 hour. Sorry, 1 hour in practice. Some of them are worse too than this. I've seen worse wheels than this. This is Grandmaster. This is like top 2% of player base or something, 3% or whatever, right? This one, 1188. The practice is not even on their top 3 most visited places. I mean, these are very common. Ultimate Master. This person would make it out of their pool as an Evo in Winterside. The idea that like you can't learn fighting games by playing them and you have to like sit in training mode and like do a lot of stuff before you're ever allowed to go outside is very incorrect. The biggest way that you get better at fighting games is just by playing them. You don't really gain that much by sitting in training mode for a long time. You have to get reps. You have to go play the game and like get a feel for how to move your character around. And generally you can use training mode to like build up some ideas, and then you take those ideas to the wild and go play against other people. And when you run into friction, things are not working and I need to find a new solution to something, you go back to training mode and then you say, I'm having a problem with something. Let me find something to beat this. And then you spend 5 minutes in training mode and you go, oh, okay. And then you go back. In the same way that like, if I lose to something in a hero shooter, I would go to the range and like look at the hero's kit and then like test something and be like, wait a minute, how does this work? And then like look at something and be like, oh, okay. And then that's all it takes. You get more value out of training mode when you know more about the game and you have specific things you want to test or look at. If you say this, like I just assume you don't really know that much about the genre and you haven't seen a lot of new players learn them. Every single person who learns fighting games is gonna like learn a little bit in training mode at some point, but they're going to spend a lot of time just playing the game. I also think like almost every person I know who has learned a fighting game has learned it because their friends are like, yo, I want to learn a fighting game. You want to play this game? Let's play it together. And then, you know, sometimes your homie who doesn't play your character, like let's say you play Korra and they play Aang, they'll link you a Korra clip and be like, yo, I saw this crazy Korra shit earlier. You see this? And your friend will hit you up and link you tech for your character. And you'll be like, yo, that was crazy. I should try that. The problem almost always when it comes to these talks is that most of the time, the truth is that learning anything is pretty hard if it has a high skill ceiling and, you know, worthwhile to get good at. So if you decide today that you want to get really good at a shooting game and you never played one, it's going to be pretty hard for you. And if you decide you want to get really good at League of Legends or like a MOBA or even play them, not even really get good at them, but like dive in and like become proficient at them, it's going to take work. It's going to be hard. And fighting games are the same, right? But one thing about fighting games that almost always happens is people invent fake things about the learning process. For example, you can't learn them and you must play like dozens of hours in training mode so that you even have the slight chance of not losing to another beginner player. I promise, every new player I've watched learn fighting games skips all the tutorials, does not go into training mode, instantly queues up ranked and fights other people of the same level, and they're all just bumbling. Their first match in ranked is not me. It's not Sonic Fox, it's not Daigo, it's another player who skipped every prompt and every tutorial and went straight into ranked and didn't care. So this is not true, and also these people are the highest rank in the game and they don't play training mode. And this is very common, right? It's not just one screenshot. I got like 50 hours in training mode. The champion, the multi-time world champion, Red Ditto. It's the truth. You can get very far in fighting games by just playing them and intuiting things. Whenever you run into problems, you can fix it in training mode in 5 minutes, not dozens of hours. And the reason the discourse is particularly frustrating around fighting games, I don't think non-fighting game fans understand this, but whatever you're really knowledgeable about, right? Imagine if somebody just like asked a question about your hobby and fed it through AI. And then you read the AI response and you're like, none of this is true. That's what they all sound like to me, because they don't actually have like deeper knowledge generally about this. So they are like, let me just go into my mind palace. What's something I remember about fighting game? Automated generated response when someone spits out fighting games. Yeah, but learning fighting games is hard because insert response here that you thought about and decided was your only default response in the conversation tree anytime said genre comes up. That's basically what's happening. A lot of people actually, when it comes to many topics of conversation, have one thing that they heard one time that they never verified or determined was true, and that is their default understanding of said thing or genre. If you've played the genre, your view will probably change, but if you've never played it, it will not change. And so a lot of people have never played fighting games, or they've only like sort of looked at them from afar. They just keep playing genres they're familiar with. So they have like that default understanding, and then it'll never change. Fighting games have a higher mechanical floor than other genres. I would say sometimes, But I would say often, no. And a lot of them now have removed a lot of the mechanical requirements. Watching all the new players learn 2x KO with one button specials and normals, and they're just doing medium, heavy, special, special, super, and it's all one button. It's a pretty low mechanical floor, I think. And if I stuck them on deadlock, I'll tell you what, they have a much better chance of killing me with Darius than they do with Bebop in lane and deadlock. I'll tell you that. They mechanically are much closer to me in fighting games than they are in deadlock. Are they mechanically close to you in BlazBlue? No, my 9 the Phantom clears. I could just sit full screen and do Navy pressure and they'll never hit me. I mean, also, have you ever like seen a diva ult in front of you and there's a pillar like behind you and then you went backwards and then went to the right and then went to the right again and then got behind the pillar to hide from a diva bomb? You just did a quarter circle. You didn't even fucking realize it, did you? Isn't that crazy? You're like, I can't do a quarter circle, but what? You can go backwards and then go backwards to the right and then walk to the right around a corner. Your hands can do the input for a quarter circle to walk away from a diva ult. But the second I'm like, oh, just do this to throw a fireball, you're like, this is impossible.